We've been learning about Gustav Klimt and one of his most famous pieces of art, the Tree of Life. So for your engraving, we're going to do our own tree, and we will be using the scratch paper to do our own form of engraving. He engraved on metal, of course, which we cannot do here at school. So the scratch paper is the next best thing that will give us a little bit of a feel for how he may have done things. So first thing I want to do is show you how to draw a tree like this one I've done in my example. And we'll do that on this white sheet of paper. So starting at the bottom of our paper, we're going to draw two parallel lines that go up to about the middle of the paper. And we want them to be about an inch or two away from each other. So probably, if you put your fingers down on the paper, maybe two of your fingers. And then we're going to make one diagonal line that goes to the right and one diagonal that goes to the left. In the center of that, we're going to draw a V. And that's where our branches will begin. So in between these two lines, I'm going to add another V. I'm going to do the same on this side. And you can see I'm starting to get some branches for my tree. So I'm going to keep repeating that process until I have enough branches. So in between these two lines, I'm going to put a V and make these come up and match it. Same thing here. Of course, my V's on its side. And I can continue doing that. They can be big V's, small V's, however you want to divide them up. I'm going to extend that one all the way out. And I'm just going to continue doing that process until I have reached the top of my paper. Some of the V's are going to touch, and when they do, you will just continue with that process. So that is how we would do our tree branches. And as you saw in the video, I was having to stop some of them when they got to a certain branch and then start a new one. So once they get towards the top, they'll be kind of crossing and crisscrossing over one another, just like in a real tree. And then in between, you end up with these really cool shapes created by crisscrossing your branches. I found a few there that I missed. So we're going to do that same process, but on one of the scratch papers. So we're going to be drawing with a popsicle stick. And so what we're going to do, if you want to test that out at the bottom, we're actually going to be putting some grass at the bottom. So if you want to test it when you first get yours, you can. And you can rub back and forth with it and make some blades of grass, and that'll be good practice. And of course, you want to hold your paper down as you're doing this. Okay, so that gives you, you're going to start seeing some colors show up. So down at the bottom, just like we did with our tree before, we're going to start with two lines that are parallel for our tree trunk. And you can see I'm going back and forth to make the line thicker. And it's going to look a little scratchy, and that's okay. This is called scratch paper. And I'm just holding my popsicle stick like a pencil. All right, and that's just going to continue. And if you need to switch ends of the popsicle stick at some point, maybe it gets a little too flat or it's not working exactly right, you can do that. You don't ever want to scratch so much that you get a hole in your scratch paper. That can happen if you start seeing like a white area instead of the rainbow colors that you're supposed to see. I would stay away from that area. You don't want to scratch it so hard that you get a hole in your paper and have to start over. And the purple purple part's a little hard to see, so when you come across the purple, don't think that something's wrong with it or what have you. But you're going to repeat the same steps that we practiced on the white paper with our V's. And you're just going to continue that. Until we have a completed tree. Now, I'm not going to complete this one right now because you've already had to watch a lot of video, but I do want you to complete all the way to the top like I did in my example. Finish putting some leaves and things down here at the bottom. And I will tell you, when you get to the edge of the paper, you don't want to go all the way to the edge. You can see I've left a little space here with the grass, because if you try to go all the way to the edge, your paper is going to want to curl up. And it's going to bother you. You're going to get really irritated at it. Miss Brooks did. And then just kind of as like a little homage to Gustav Klimt. He had all those swirls and things in his. He swirled up his tree, which is a little tricky. So kind of as a little homage to him, to honor him, we're going to put some swirls around. And just like I was saying earlier, if you start seeing some white, you might want to slow down on it and back off of it a little bit. If it's not wanting to do what you want it to, you don't want it to get too scratchy. You see, I've got a little white spot there. So we'll do that to finish it, and hopefully you will have a completed product that looks something like this.